I want to see him play. Anyway, before we get started tonight, I have 2 introductions to make to you, okay? Did any of you catch the text message that we sent out? What was intriguing about the text message? Yes, we have a mascot, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that the mascot's name is Bubbles, okay? Now I'm going to wait for a second to introduce you. I have a second introduction, okay? There's a series we're going into right now called Distracted Faith, okay? And I don't know if you guys have ever heard in school about this thing called plagiarism. Do you guys know what that is? Okay? You know, you can do that as a preacher too. You can plagiarize someone else's work, okay? A year ago when we planned our preaching calendar, we put on the calendar a series called Counterfeit Faith. Out of the book of James. Earlier this year, actually, late this summer, I started reading this book that I bought like a year ago, and just buried it under my pile of books, and I decided to pull it out. I started reading this book. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. This book significantly influenced the refurbishment of this series to a distracted faith instead of counterfeit faith. So I wanted to let you know about this book because a lot of the principles that we're going to be talking to, the structure, how we're going to be talking, come from this book. And I don't want to pretend like it's my work. It's his. This guy is an amazing writer. I have a bunch of our staff reading this right now, and they're literally texting me, telling me how great it is. So if you need a book that could potentially give you a new perspective on hurry and busyness and tiredness and how to live a life of peace in a modern, crazy world, this is the book to buy. And if one person buys this book in here, it's worth it because that guy deserves being paid for what he did. It's awesome. Now I want to introduce you to our mascot. I just want to make sure that the situation here is okay for Bubbles. I'll be right back. All right, there's a story behind Bubbles, but I need you to know right now that Bubbles is going to be our youth group's mascot for the next 8 weeks. Okay, at the end of 8 weeks, I'm going to send Bubbles home with one of you if he survives that night. Okay, if Bubbles survives the 8 weeks, then I'll send him home with one of you. But I just want you to see Bubbles. Bubbles is going to be up here with us every week during this series. I'm going to pray, and then we'll get into why he's here. Okay, and why it's a samurai fish instead of, I call them samurai fish, just in case you don't know that. I know it's a beta fish, but they're samurais to me. Anyway, let's pray. God, thank you for tonight. Thank you for this time. God, I pray that you would help us to put down our phones, ignore the text messages we're getting, and pay attention. Because, God, we need this truth. We're in trouble. I pray tonight you can help us see that and help us start to open our eyes to what is affecting us so deeply. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So, quick background to Bubbles. Okay, Bubbles was supposed to be 3 goldfish. My plan was to get 3 goldfish and name them Einstein, Bubbles, and Jaws. Okay, and they were going to be our mascots. But I went to the fish store today, also known as PetSmart, and they're a lot pet smarter than I am. You know what I'm saying? So I was under the impression that you could buy goldfish and put them in a bowl like that. Apparently you can't. See, beta fish have a very finely tuned filtration system, so they can pee and poop in their stale water and filter it through their system, and they're fine. But it turns out that most other fish, including goldfish, aren't like that. If you put the goldfish in this water, he would be dead by tomorrow morning. And I decided I didn't want to kill some goldfish. So I got the one fish that they would let me buy with this bowl, which is kind of important because we're trying to keep him alive for 8 weeks and then give him away. They were like, well, if you want 3 goldfish, you need 2.5 gallons each in a filtration system. So I'm like, $90. They're like, yeah. So here we have Bubbles, the beta fish instead of the goldfish. Now you may be wondering, why does Mike want to talk about goldfish? I want to ask you a question. Do you know the attention span of a goldfish? Does anyone know the attention span of a goldfish? This is a tested piece of information. If you think you know the attention span, just raise your hand. I'll call on you. Go ahead. What? It is not 5 seconds. Thank you for participating. In the back here? 5 years. That is really, really wrong. She was close. Okay. Okay, next, right here. Okay, your turn. Okay, your turn. Okay, your turn. 1 minute? No. 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 It is not 3 seconds. The span of attention for the goldfish is 9 seconds, and I did read some articles saying that it was a myth, but I also read some articles saying that it wasn't. So I chose to go with it. But besides the way it's published in many articles, so here we go. Does anyone know the attention span of a human? The attention span of a human. Anyone, any guesses? Yeah. 75 what? Okay, we're going to not answer that back row anymore. Let's go over here, Isaac. 13 seconds is incorrect. That 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 is incorrect. The attention span of a human, Brock, you're the last hope, is incorrect. We already said that. Pay attention. Jeez. All right. The attention span for a human in the year 2000 was 12 seconds. The attention span for an average human in our country was 12 seconds. In 2022, that attention span has dropped 4 seconds and is now at 8 seconds. This is the largest drop of attention span recorded in human history. The largest attention span drop in recorded history. Anyone think they know why a goldfish now has a longer attention span than humans? Goldfish can pay attention to what is going on around them longer than the average human now. Why? Why? Yes, sir. I really like him. I like that answer. That is partially correct. Anyone else want to add to it? They don't have phones. They don't have I like the way you said it. They don't have phones. It was really good. You're my favorite. What do you think? Social media, let's add that into the phone category. Yeah? Yeah, it's a phone thing. For most people, it's definitely a phone thing. I mean, it's a phone thing. You can get on the internet, but you're mostly doing social media on the phone. You feel me? You feel me? Okay. What do you think? Technology, okay. Another phone. We'll just lump the phone in that. Yeah. Distractions. Okay, that's very good. I think they do, right? That was a distraction. Jonah? What? Cell phones. Okay. Research is actually pointing to two causes, which I think I understand why they separate them, but they're the same. Okay, the research is pointing to two causes: the smartphone and the internet. Okay, the reason they separate those is because the internet came first. The smartphone came in 2007. Okay, the internet really was a big deal starting 2000, 2001. Okay, since the sort of technological age has begun, the attention span, and that goes with it. I don't have the numbers on this, but I did read that what comes with that is actually memory. Okay, the ability to remember, record things. Okay, so the attention span is dipping significantly, one of the largest dips in human history. A recent study found that the average iPhone user touches his or her phone 2,617 times a day. Okay, if your neighbor's talking to you, tell them to shut up because this is important. A recent study found that the average iPhone user touches his or her phone 2,617 times a day. Each user is on his or her phone for 2.5 hours over 76 sessions. And a session is like when it's not touching your phone, it's picking up and using your phone. That's a session. You're like, nah, it doesn't sound crazy. Let's add to that. Another study on millennials, that's the generation right before you. That's like some of you in here are millennials, not very many of you, but some of you are. The generation right before you, another study put that number at twice that. Translated. 5,200 touches a day, over 5 hours, and 152 sessions on a smartphone. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we call that addiction. I want everyone to raise your right hand. Okay? You're going to say together, you're going to say your first name and last name. Hello, my name is so-and-so, and I'm an addict. You ready? We're going to do this together. I'm serious, totally serious. You ready? Say your name, no one else's. Here we go. Hi, my name is Mike Zarati, and I am an addict. Good job. You don't believe that you're an addict? Let's define an addict. Addiction, the relentless pull to a substance or an activity that becomes so compulsive that it ultimately interferes with everyday life. You ever run into someone like this? Okay, you're an addict. You touch your phone 2,000 times a day, you're an addict. If you're on your phone more than 1 hour a day, you're probably an addict. These are all my opinion, by the way. I'm not trying to do anything like that, okay? You might be sitting here going, okay, Mike, I hear you. What's the big deal? Smartphones aren't bad. Can we get someone to sit back there with those guys? Maybe right next to Keegan. Maybe it'll help them. Smartphones are not bad. Okay? That's your reaction. Smartphones are not bad. Let's go another step. Everyone pay attention to me. She's just going to sit next to her friend. Okay. A similar study found that just being in the same room with our phones, even if they are turned off, let me repeat that. A similar study found that being in the same room as our phones, even if they are turned off, will reduce someone's working memory and problem-solving skills. As one summary of the report put it, if you grow dependent on your smartphone, it becomes a magical device that silently always shouts your name at your brain. All of that is just the phone. It doesn't include the internet, YouTube, or Netflix. The reason those aren't included in the time slots is because you could be watching those on any device, and you do. Netflix, YouTube. I mean, I watch YouTube on the main television in my house. I watch Netflix on the main television in my house. You know what I'm saying? Okay? We do all that. I don't use the internet on the main television in my house, but, those other streaming devices I do. Okay? What's the point, Mike? You're crushing my soul. You're making me feel guilty for all the things that I love and make me feel who I am. My goal is to simply open our eyes to a truth that I don't think most of us are aware of. I don't think most of you walking in this room tonight, especially those of you who are texting on your phone right now, are any aware of how absolutely addicted to your phone are. But my mom texted. Your mom knows where you're at. It's fine. Put your phone down and listen. I want us to open our eyes to a truth that I don't think we're aware of. Let me get it to you this way, okay? What do you think are the two most common answers given by all of you in this youth group when I ask you how you're doing? The two most common answers I get when I ask you how you're doing, what do you think they are? Raise your hand, I'll call on you. Okay? Here we go. Laura. Okay? That's not one of them, thank you. Nope, that's not one of them, thank you. Nope, that's not one of them, thank you. Nope, that's not one of them. That's not one of the top two. We're just getting there, yeah. No, people typically talk. I'm kind of a nice guy. At least I think I am when I look in the mirror. What do you think? What? Fine is not one of them. No. These are almost always the responses I get, and you guys are the ones giving them to me, so I'm shocked that this is how blind you are. Ava. Nope, that's not one of them. Jonah. Nope, that's not one of them. Isaac. Nope. I'll give you 3 more shots. I really thought this worked. Lexi. Tired is one of them. Good job. Good job. She has not heard this sermon. Anything. Tired is the second most common. I'm tired. Fine, I get it. Tell me when you're not. You're always flipping tired. Give you another shot there, cutie face. It's not, I'm all right. Last one. They do not just look at their phones. The number one response that I get when I ask how you're doing, the number one response before anything is, I'm busy. Or it was busy. Or busy. Just get it all the time. Oh, I'm busy. I'm not joking. Like, these are legit. We talk about these. We joke about these. Get off your phone. We talk and joke about these things. You say it all the time. I'm busy. I'm tired. Get off your phone. I'm talking to some of you in this room and you're not doing it. Get off your phone. Now, what do you think is the most common reason given by all of you in this youth group when I ask have you spent any time with God? Most of you answer no. Why do you think you tell me the answer is no? What's the most common reason I get? Micah. Nope. I'm busy. I'm too busy for that. Honestly, this is I haven't been like making notes on my phone or anything, but I was there every time. Okay. I get the number one answer I hear, the number one reason is I'm busy. Here's what I want you to see today, just for the first time today. Everyone listen to me. Listen, listen, listen. Okay, get off your phone. This is what I want you to see. You have somewhere between 3 and 5 hours free each day where you're not busy. You know how I know that? Because you're on your phones. Where you could catch up on sleep or homework, or better yet, carve out 15 minutes to spend time with God. On top of that, it's important to realize that the way that your phone is designed is literally rewiring your brain. I didn't have enough time in this sermon to go into this, guys, but there's some research on this right now. Your phone is not yours. You know who owns your phone? And this is going to make me sound really like weird and conspiracy theory, but you know who owns your phone? Large corporations. And the corporations own your phone, and their whole thing is to get you to feel like you need your phone more. It's a cycle. We're all stuck in it. I'm not trying to make some conspiracy. It's reality, okay? You guys see advertisements on your phone? There's the evidence, right? You see advertisements everywhere. Everywhere you go, you have advertisements. Okay? The phone is literally designed to get you to need it. All of this lowers your attention span and diminishes your ability to focus. Hence, we are now collectively worse than I was supposed to say Einstein, Bubbles, and Jaws, but it just says Bubbles now. You know what I'm saying? Let's go on Bubbles. He's good. He forgot. We are now worse than this fictional goldfish. I have no idea the attention span of a betta fish. No clue. I'm sure someone could look that up. But don't, because I don't want you on your phones. You know what else I hear a lot? I really have a hard time focusing when I pray. I really can't focus when I try to read. It's just hard for me. I believe you. Honestly, I really genuinely believe that you are busy, and that you are tired, and you have a hard time focusing. The reason I believe you is because you're human and you have a smartphone. I'm here tonight to ask a question. And this is what this series is all about. We're going to put this question up on the screen. What is all of this distraction, addiction, and pace of life doing to our soul? What is all? I'm going to answer it. You don't need to raise your hand. You're new here. You'll see how that works. What is this doing to our soul? Some of you can't put your phone down in this room, even during a sermon. And you're going to tell me later why it was so important, because you believe it is. And all of this night was planned for you, for your soul. It's meant to slow down, have a place for you that feels safe. But even in a place like this, we can't put our phones down. And again, I don't blame you, and the phone's not the problem. It's the world and kind of the system we live in. But the truth is, when those things are realized, like, it's important for us to talk about those truths. It's also important for us to talk about what kind of effect those truths have on us. Here's another thing I hear from you in this youth group all the time. I don't really feel like God is close. I don't hear from God. God doesn't answer my prayers. The one I hear a lot also is I get close to God at camp, but when I get home, I'm done. Here's a quote from John Mark Comer. So many people live without a sense of God's presence throughout the day. And we talk about his absence as if it's his fault. But could it be that, with a few set exceptions, we're the ones who are absent? Not God. We sit around sucked into our phones or TV or to-do lists, oblivious to the God who is around us, with us, in us, who is even more desirous than we are for relationship. Guys, we live in a world that has made us slaves to distraction, to hurry, to addiction. So much so that we have a hard time even seeing that there is a problem, and many of you will react tonight like it's not a problem. Here's the thing. Do you get mad at a blind man who bumps into you? If you said yes, then stick around at church. You got some work to do on your soul. Do you get mad and yell at a blind man who accidentally bumps into you? Of course not. Why? He can't see. God's not mad at you for the truth that I'm giving to you tonight. I'm not mad at you. You shouldn't be mad at you. The truth is, we're all in the same boat. I look at my phone a lot. Don't be mad. Don't be disappointed. Just listen. When a blind man bumps into you, you help them in the right direction. You and I are blind to this. And I'm inviting you tonight to open your eyes with me. We're going to spend the next few weeks having conversations about this. I'm inviting you to open your eyes. Can I just take a moment to warn you? This is not hyperbole, exaggeration, or anything like that. I'm not making up big words. Hear me out. Can you just hear this? What I'm saying tonight, what I've said so far, is 100% true for you. Can you just hear me loud and clear for a moment? Normally, you're like, this guy's speaking to all of us. I want you to listen as if I'm talking just to you. What I shared with you tonight is 100% true about you. And you know what the crazy, scary part about all of this is? Exhaustion, distraction, hurry, all of those things kill relationships. Love takes time, and exhaustion, distraction, and hurry don't have it. We are the most distracted, the most exhausted, and the most hurried civilization in the history of the world here in America. And guess what? It's not good for us. If you've ever wondered why you struggle so much with your faith, and I've had conversations with some of you, and that's really a large part where this series came from, is the conversations we have all the time about this. There's a unknown, a frustration, a confusion with a lot of you on why you struggle so deeply to be connected to God. And we talk about this all the time. Here's what I know about you. If you don't have a smartphone, you still live in America, and you live a hurried life. Your life is busy, full of energy, full of stuff, full of the next thing, full of this. And if it's really not, then your brain forces you to live that way. There's a reason why in a youth group of teenagers, the most common response I get with how you doing is I hear busy. You feel busy. If you've ever wondered why you've struggled to grow close in a relationship with God, now you know why. And I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all, fix-all. There's other reasons, but I really think this is a major one. Why do you think things at summer camp are so unique? Let's just focus on that, because a lot of you can really identify with that, right? So it's a personal illustration for you. We go to summer camp, right? It's beautiful. You're with the people you love. Your phone doesn't work. You got music, you got Jesus, you got friends. All of the distractions at home and at school and all that stuff are gone. And magic, it's just magic what happens. It's magic. It's like the only place in the world it can actually happen, right? Is at summer camp, you fall deeply in love with Jesus, and you're full of all this joy and peace, and you're like, I'm going to live my life for God, and it's going to be awesome. And then you get back home, and 3 days later at high school or middle school event, you're like, hey, we removed all the hurry. We removed all the distractions. We removed all of your addictions. And when those things disappear and you're in the presence of God, guess what happens? Proximity is intimacy, meaning when you're close to someone, you have a relationship with them. Hurry, exhaustion, boy, that's a thing that still happens at camp, though, if we're being honest. Exhaustion. We don't take that one away. We might make it worse, if we're being real. But the other two, we remove them, and God moves and works. In fact, some of you, here's the thing. I want you to think back to summer camp. Some of you actually, God spoke to you. God moved you. God transfixed your heart. You were moved emotionally. It's actually not very hard for you to connect with God when you're in the right environment. And guess what? Life isn't that environment because you live in America and you have a smartphone. Technology. It's a great thing, but it's killing us, at least our soul. John 15, 5 through 9 says this. This is going to be a verse, and we'll close with this. John 15, 5 through 9 says this. This is going to be the verse that we're kind of walking through this series. This is Jesus speaking. I am the vine. So, before we get into this, in case you don't understand what's going on, Jesus is proclaiming. You ever seen a bush? Raise your hand if you've ever seen a bush. Okay, good. Just making sure the illustration fits for all of you, like, mentally. Have you ever seen a bush? Do you ever see a bush without, like, the middle vine that kind of grows out of the ground? Do you ever see it without a vine? No. Here's what happens. A bush is actually a bush because a bunch of little branches that grow from the vine, like, right? Find the vine, okay? If you remove one of the branches from that vine, is it going to live? Let me ask the question again. Just shh. We're going to remove distractions. If you take a branch off of the vine, will the branch live? No. No shot. Okay? No shot. Okay? That branch is dead. Okay? Literally, this happened the other day. It was a big windstorm. My neighbor's tree branches fell off, and they were like in my bush. So I was nice to them. I removed them, and I put them in my pile for bulk pickup. And guess what happened in like 2 days with those branches? They were just brown and dead. That is the illustration that Jesus is trying to make in this text, that he's the vine and we are the branches. With that context, let's read this. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides, abide is a word that means remains or stays. Okay, it's a fancy word that means remains or stays. Whoever remains in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. So let's pretend that you're a lemon tree. Right? What part of the lemon tree produces fruit? The vine or the branches? The branches, okay? We've already stated that if you take a branch off the vine, it's going to die, right? So is there any chance that that branch that's supposed to produce fruit gets removed from the vine and still produces fruit? The only chance for that branch to produce fruit is to stay and remain in what? The vine. Okay, good. You're with me. If anyone does not remain in me, he is thrown away like a branch and withers, and the branches are gathered and thrown into the fire and burned. Now, the illustration here is simple. It's like the one I told you about with my neighbor's tree. Okay? There's not much point or purpose or value to a dead branch unless you need a stick to poke something with. You feel me? Okay? But the best thing to do with sticks is actually use them for fire, especially if they're dead. That's the illustration here. The idea is that bearing fruit, as believers, we should bear fruit. And we'll talk about what that means, what that bearing fruit means. But for now, the idea is that we're growing fruit. You can't be a branch and grow fruit if you're not attached to the vine of Jesus. You with me? Let's keep going. Next verse. Next slide. Let me make that more clear. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. Well, that's exciting. Right? Okay. By this, and by this he's talking about remaining or abiding, my Father is glorified that you bear much fruit and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Remain, stay, abide in my love. We already said earlier that hurry, distraction, and exhaustion are not good for love. Love needs relationship, love needs time, and hurry, distraction, and exhaustion have none of it. What I want you to see right now is very simple. Very, very simple. The reason that we struggle so deeply to have a relationship with God, the one that we want, is because none of us are abiding or remaining. We're too busy. We're too distracted. And we're too tired. Maybe we just leave that on the grounds. Maybe more helpful. Okay, I got to finish this. Does that make sense? If we're just going to be, let's just be honest. I'm not trying to, it's just a moment for all of us. This is 100% true about all of us. We are struggling in our relationship with God because we are like branches that have broken off the vine. We don't spend time with Him. And when we try, our brain has so been rewired with an 8-second attention span that it's very difficult to read, it's very difficult to pray, it's very difficult to spend any significant time with the Lord. I mean, think about it. Those of you who are in a dating relationship in this room, let me just explain something what the smartphone has done. Do you want to know where you spend most of your time with your significant other? Right here. Texting. It's not even FaceTime. I know some of you will get on there for like 3 hours and totally ignore each other and pretend like that's togetherness. I've seen it. It's hilarious. I have teenagers and their friends come over and they'll get on FaceTime with their girlfriend. It's just, I'm like, they're like playing video games over here and the girlfriend's laying flat on the counter right here. She's not even in the picture. I'm like, who's that? It's my girlfriend. Really? I don't see anyone. Yeah, we're just hanging out. This is hanging out. All the time you spend with each other is over a device. There's no proximity. There's no intimacy. Everything we do in relationship right now is through our phone. In fact, many of you, check this out, many of you will not even read the Bible unless it's on your phone. Do you know that you've trained your eyes to move quickly on your phone? No wonder you can't read the Bible on your phone. This is all research. This is all real stuff. I need you to understand the reason that you're so far from God is because you're not remaining in Him. You're not abiding in Him, and I don't blame you. Your brain has been trained. And I want to help you see that, and I want to help you wake up. Here's tonight's big idea. Listen to this. Take a picture if you need to. You can use your phone. The noise of the modern world makes us deaf to the voice of God, drowning out the one voice we need most. This is our problem. This is our stated problem for this series. I'll move for the middle people. Good. I like that. Mental pictures for those of you who are smartphoneless. You're probably smarter than most of us, to be honest. I want you to read that. Look at that. Stare at that picture. Stare at that image. Stare at those words. The noise of the modern world makes us deaf to the voice of God, drowning out the one voice we need most. We cannot spend enough time in our brain paying attention that we could win an attention race with a goldfish. Sorry, Bubbles. You hear me? We are losing to fish. Say it again. This is what this series is all about. Learning to hear the voice of God in a hurried, distracted, busy, tired, and modern world. This series will begin tonight and it will end at our fall event around a campfire with a challenge, the likes of which I can promise you that none of you have ever been challenged to do before. This Saturday or this Sunday, we'll start talking about the details. We'll have a graphics. It's a really exciting event, but I need you to understand this. I met with your parents in February and told them about what we're doing this fall because it was so important to me that you worked as hard as you can to get there. Because over this Wednesday and the next 4 weeks, I want to help you develop the ability to draw near to God and to hear His voice. And here's what I think. I think many of you actually want that. I really do. I think what I'm saying that we can get is something that many of you actually deeply desire. You would love to hear from God. You would love to be close to God. You would love to have a relationship with God where your prayers, where you're being in the Word, where it feels like a dual relationship presence right now. I'm not alone doing this to someone somewhere far. I am in this room with someone near. And the reason I'm so confident that we can get you there is because the way to do it was actually laid out very clear in the New Testament. It's just something that none of us do. So the only question that's left for tonight is this. What would you be willing to do or change if I told you that by doing so you could learn to abide, remain, and stay close to God? Because make no mistake, it will absolutely require change. Let me pray for us. God, I thank you for this time. I thank you for these truths. I pray that I actually pray, God, that you would allow what we just talked about to kind of fester and bother us. I pray that this wouldn't be a sermon that we forget. I pray this would be a sermon that kind of sticks with us, that we process, that we ask questions about, that we evaluate, and maybe do a little inventory in our lives. Maybe we open up the screen time app on our phone and see where we stand with our small group, to see how much time we actually have, how much time we're actually wasting on a device that was designed to distract us. Lord, I'm reminded of Corrie ten Boom's quote, "If Satan can't make us sin, he'll make us busy." God, we're busy. We need to learn how to slow down. We need to learn how to get rid of distractions. We need to learn how to focus. Help us to do that. But first of all, tonight, Lord, I pray that you'd help us to want those things. Lord, we can show everyone in this room the ways to focus, the ways to learn and grow through all this, Lord, but if they don't want it, nothing's going to change. So I pray you put a desire in our heart to change, a desire in our heart to grow, to slow down, to be less distracted, and to get more rest. Because it turns out that you left some instructions for us in the New Testament as we look at the life of Jesus that are so clear and so simple that actually, genuinely, deeply work. Help us to want that. Help us to crave it. In Jesus' name I pray, and everyone said,